Irving Finkel.
All right, we are live. We're just running a quick test to make sure that everything is in order. Give us 1 second. You're good? Okay, folks, so let's just start it again. Let's get going. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is J Rock here alongside Mr. Frank Walls.
What up, guys? How you guys doing tonight? I hope you have fun with this. We're gonna show today some videos about ghosts.
So yeah, ghost origins, right? What an interesting dig, right? Just trying to figure out what's the point of origin for this. Getting a lot of descriptors and a lot of information regarding the subject matter that we're going to talk about today. So ghost, right? We've all heard stories. We've all been through not we all, but most people would have said that in their lifetime they've experienced some kind of what we call paranormal experience, right?
Paranormal activity.
Yeah, so I found it very interesting as a good segue because it also creates an opening for conversation, right? People have stories to tell.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't we kick it off and really start with what is a ghost, right? So to make this more simplified, a ghost or what we call a spirit entity, right, is really a soul or a spirit of a dead person, animal, or anything that's non-human. It could be demonic in nature, and it can appear before the living, right? The descriptions for this varies, right, based on culture. So you would have, the Scottish. I love the way they call ghosts. They call them wraiths.
Rakes.
Wraiths, Wraith, right? Or some of them call them revenants, right? But these are considered more evil in nature. They have a purpose behind what they're doing.
Like the porter guys or something like that.
Not necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
This could be one of those what we call vengeful spirits,
Okay.
right?
Like Ghost Rider.
Right.
The Crow.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, you have that, right? And then you have different time periods in how ghosts were depicted, which was very interesting. When you're a kid growing up and you look at ghosts and you hear the discussion about ghosts, you think about a person in a bed sheet with two eye holes cut out, and or you think of Casper the Friendly Ghost, right?
I heard all that changed when the movie Ghost with Patrick Swayze came out.
Oh yeah, they even romanticized the idea of a ghost.
Wow.
R.I.P. Swayze.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Patrick Swayze.
So what makes this so interesting, right? Ghosts are more often than not perceived as a malevolent entity, right? They carry a lot of names, a lot of variations. Demonic is one of them. They call demons, of course, but another word is ghoul, right? And it's funny because we were talking about this earlier before the show started, right? How some of these names are part of the etymology of other words, right? Or not etymology, but from the etymology standpoint, which is the study of where words originate, right? For example, alcohol, right?
Yeah.
So the origin, the word alcohol is al ghul, which
Alcohol.
is a ghoul, right?
And also the how you call that when they the liquor
Spirits,
store, the liquor stores.
right? When you go to the liquor store.
Yeah, the liquor store used to be called, at least here in the U.S., wine and spirits. So spirits, they refer spirits to the wines and stuff like that.
So here's a fun fact. Many years ago, people used to buy spirits in a can, right? And they would smear it on the wall, and that the wall would stain. So people said, "Oh, there were spirits on the wall," right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what gave birth to paint thinner. Yeah, true story. So
Wow.
paint thinner was literally spirit in a can.
Yeah, spirit.
Yeah, so there you have it. So what do these ghosts do, right? Well, it's depending on the culture, depending on your faith, your ideology, depending on how you look at things, right? They can be a soul that's there to protect you, a lost loved one that has unfinished business and wants to leave a message or impart something behind. Um, but for the most part, a lot of this stuff is just straight up, malevolent, evil,
Yeah.
right? And it gets into the idea that there's other species or variants of ghosts, right? So let's go into the first four. We won't go into all of them in great detail, but I think this was really, really good.
Really important.
As a good discussion piece. So, the first one is more of an interactive personality. It's your standard ghost, boo, and you're you're running off to the races, right? These are not described as friendly or not friendly. They're just the ones that create the most common shock. You
Gotcha.
see them come out of your wall. You see them, at a distance in a cemetery in the middle of the night. You also have ghosts that emit some kind of substance called ectoplasm or ectomist, right? Kind of like Slimer from the Ghostbusters. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And then you have the ones that we call them the heavy hitters, right? Which is like the poltergeist. And those typically are there to either target a specific person or they're tied to a specific location and they want to haunt that home
Those are stronger
or object
ones. Yeah.
or object they can haunt.
That will be like that movie, The Conjuring.
Right. So then you have orbs, right? These are very common in what they call ghost photography, where a person is taking pictures and you see a lot of orbs, which is kind of like their spirit energy manifesting in the form of a circular pattern, right? Here's a good one. I never heard of this one, but it's called funnel ghost.
Funnel?
Yeah, funnel. And the reason why is because these ghosts only operate or present themselves in areas of high energy. They call them energy vortexes, right? So that was a really interesting find when I was looking this up. So these are usually, the vortex ghosts are usually found in like historic buildings, haunted locations, right? They're not necessarily married to an object, unlike a poltergeist can,
Gotcha.
right? But it was very interesting to discover.
It is very
So
interesting.
before we continue, we just want to say to all the viewers, thank you for watching this Distorted Realities podcast. For those of you who are interested in watching the show, please be sure to click like and subscribe and share it with your friends and loved ones.
We got Kid Dan in the chat. How you doing, Kid Dan?
So let me just make sure I click on like and subscribe. And there you have it. So, ghost, right? Segueing into the ghosts, I want to go now into the ghost types. I want to go into the list of ghosts based on continent, right? There's a lot of them that Give me 1 second. I'm just looking here. Just looking through my list of goodies that I want to share with you guys. So, now that I got my list here, I really want to go and segue into this. So every segment or every location, right, has a folklore attached to it, right? So what I mean by location, it could be a continent or a specific area, right? Um, that could be, for example, Africa. In the African folklore, you have Adzi Iwe, right, which is a vampiric being,
Oh wow,
right?
vampires.
And then you have Amadlozi Nunguni,
Ningun.
which is a spiritual entity. And then Kishi, which is another spirit ghost. That's a two-headed demon.
Wow.
So yeah, so you have different variations of this going on. Um, in China, right? You have Mogwai.
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 That's how they call ghosts over there.
Yeah. Then you have a vengeful. Of course, you have vengeful ghost. You have something called the Wangliang.
Wang Liang.
Yeah. So in Korea, there's a ghost that's very interesting, right? It's an egg ghost. Um, and of course, Japan, which is riddled with something called the yokai.
Yokai.
Yeah, yokai, and they're very very thorough about this. Um, so you have a list of yokais here. I won't go through all of them, but you got the in different types, right? Like you have the Shinigami, the Shikigami, the Shirime, the Shiriyo, right? You have
You speak Japanese because your pronunciation is speechless. Yeah.
no, it's just watching the artwork, right? Because um, I'm an avid anime watcher, right? So
Gotcha.
for me, it's like you watch enough anime, it kind of rubs off, right? Um, and then of course you have South Asia, which is in the you have the boot.
The boots.
It
Remember?
makes another grand appearance,
Wow.
right? So there's a lot of different entities there that exist in every culture. Sri Lanka has a Shura, Barilima, the devil bird, um, the Kumbanda.
Umbanda.
Yeah, the Kumbanda. The Kumbanda. Nepal has the Banjakri and the Bajakrini.
Wow.
Yeah, did I sound?
That sounds professional
It
to
sounded
me.
really, really good, right?
Very, very impressive.
Thank you, Rosetta Stone. Pakistan has the Churel, and it has the Pichai Peri. I hope I'm not butchering it.
No. I think you're doing great.
So Turkish has 4 of them. They have like the smallest in the group. But yeah, every culture has a different specified ghost that exist in the pantheon of the paranormal, right? And they all have their own stories to tell. So let's segue into that for a second, and why don't you translate some of that in Spanish for the people? Start from scratch and just tell them about what is a ghost.
Oh. Gotcha. Wow. Let's see how can I do this in Spanish.
Bueno, dame ayudarte. Um,
Ok, fantasmas, fantasmas.
there
Aquí
you
estamos
go.
hablando del origen de los fantasmas. Las primeras apariciones de fantasmas que están escritas en la historia, que se han plasmado en la historia como tal. De dónde provienen, los diferentes nombres que le dan en diferentes países, diferentes culturas, diferentes tipos de fantasmas. Y por ahí vamos.
All
Por ahí
right.
vamos a seguir añadiendo más sobre el tema.
So, yeah, so it was very interesting to see, right? That there's different types of ghostly entities in different parts of the world, each with its own agenda, its own story. Like you could literally take, you know what? This can be like its own in search of aliens
Yeah.
segment, and you could
Search
just
of
literally
ghosts.
say search of ghosts. Um, but there's a lot. I mean, you have the European folklore, the Flying Dutchman, right? Like that's the pirate.
Wow.
And you also have the Headless Horseman.
That's the Sleepy Hollow.
Well, no, the Headless Horseman did not originate in Sleepy Hollow like most people think.
So it's from
Right. So it originated in Europe. However, it is New York lore because there were reports of this very early on. But yeah, there is stuff there pertaining to it.
Do you think maybe it's the same entity and he just decided to emigrate to the United States like a lot of people do?
No, I mean cryptids do it all the time,
Right?
right?
I mean,
the,
look
Jer-
at
the,
the
Jer-
Chupacabra.
the Jersey Devil is not from New Jersey.
You see?
He's just a resident there, right?
Yeah, I've seen the Chupacabra in Texas, Mexico.
So yeah, so there's a lot. They all come in different shapes and sizes, right? so so yeah, there's a lot of this stuff, and it's great. It's great. Like for those of you who are into the culture and are into the study of the paranormal, and you want to know more about specifics. I mean, you could literally do a search and do list of ghosts based on continent or geographical location, and boom, you're gonna get a list that could last you a couple of years.
Wow.
Right. So then of course we go into the interesting one, which I found was the first documented ghost encounter, right? And this goes all the way back to oh my god, I just drew a blank.
Let's go back to the Babylonian.
To the Babylonian times.
You
That's
see?
what I wanted. I was gonna say ancient Sumerian for some reason, and I held my tongue.
That's why I'm
Thank-
here. That's why I'm here. Don't worry.
Thank you. so yeah, it goes back to that time period where people found a clay tablet that depicts a Babylonian entity roaming the earth alone, right?
Let me be more specific on that fact because it's a fact. We're talking here about fact, guys. We don't lie. We go to with the truth. You know. It says the world's oldest ghost drawing may have been found on ancient Babylonian tablet at the British Museum. A Babylonian tablet dating back to 1500 BCE. So that's a fact.
Isn't that something? But it's not the first reported haunting.
Wow.
That goes all the way August 9th, 1799. All right, and the individual is called Abner Blaisdell. They reported strange noises and a female humming sound that would come out, in the house.
Oh my god.
And the guy went and got a priest, and they confirmed and documented this instance.
So you're gonna tell me that one of the first ghost apparitions, or it was a female?
Yep. Unfortunately for you, yep, they haunt you.
Wow.
But yeah, it was based on this, and based on the recounts, right? He kind of at first dismissed it, and then he and this was in Maine, by the way, for those of you who are just curious to know what location. The location is called Massasport, Maine, right? This spirit apparently was the wife of a captain or sailor,
Wow.
right? Captain George Butler.
I heard he was family of Jimmy Butler.
It's little Jimmy, no. Uh, so yeah, but this is the first recounted tale. Like it's the first telling of a ghost story, right? And then that leads to the time periods, right? Let's go into that because I really want to talk about that, and then we want to go into the types of hauntings, right? Real quick. So, different periods have a different description for what a ghost is and what it does, right? And I'm just gonna go back to.
I got something here while you look for that.
Sure, go
It
ahead and
said,
share.
what is the origin of the ghost? The ghost came into Old English as ghast, meaning soul spirit. According to a 1999 on language column in the New York Times, it was until the 14th century, per the Oxford English Dictionary, that a ghost had physical form, represented by children on October 31. Wow,
Isn't that something?
that's crazy.
So then you have like different time periods and different reasoning for spirits and or what we call ghosts. So if you go by religion and you follow Christianity, Judaism, um, it's kind of like different shades of it. Some of it is tied to the black arts, what they used to call necromancy,
Yeah.
and that's the summoning of a spirit of a dead body. And then you have some of them as a divination, right? Like that person is a spirit entity who was summoned by God to bring a message to you, um, which was a weird one because typically you would, from what I've learned growing up, it would be an angel.
Yeah, but kind of weird.
It was, but hey, that's the documents don't.
Mm-hmm.
So
Where is that picture? I've seen that picture before. That other picture.
that's uh that's called The Witch of Endor by Nikolai G.
Oh, the Witch of Endor.
Yeah, yeah, that's a picture. So this goes back between Judaism, Christianity, and parts of the Middle Ages. There's kind of like a recurring theme with this, right? Like paganism and the witch trials and associations with the occult, right? So you can, not only are they responsible for werewolves and lycanthropism, but they're also responsible for, I guess, summoning ghosts. So,
Yeah.
I mean, no wonder they got into so much trouble.
The Witch of Endor is a woman who, according to the Hebrew Bible, was consulted by King Saul to summon the spirit of the prophet Samuel. Saul wished to receive a device of defeating the Philistine in a battle. After prior attempts to consult God through scared lots and other means had failed. So God was not communicating with Saul. So he went to the Witch of Endor to try to get her to summon the spirit of the prophet Samuel. That way he could contact God through Samuel. You know what I mean?
Did she succeed?
No, because in the Bible says that you're not supposed to consult necromancy, diviners, witches, and all that stuff. So it didn't end well for Saul.
Huh. So much for the Witch of Endor.
Mm-hmm.
The Endor ended.
Yeah.
So, Indian religion, right? Of course, we already spoke about the boot, but if you want to be gender neutral, it's Bhuta.
Buta.
Yeah, with an A at the end.
Be
Right?
right.
Now, the reasoning for this was really interesting. These ghosts sometimes occupy your space because you gave them an improper burial. So I guess they have in their culture they have a specific way of sending people off to the afterlife or reincarnation or whatever that belief is.
Like the Egyptians used to do. Remember, They used to bury you with all your possessions and stuff.
Right. So sticking to the theme of the boot, you also have the churro. Remember I told you about that?
Cheryl.
So this is a ghost that is a female ghost that died during child labor.
Okay.
Right. It's considered a demoniacal revenant, and this is due to the loss could have been prevented, and it was somebody else's fault, basically. Um, in Buddhism, it's very interesting because they treat it as different planes of existence, right? In scientific terms, different dimensions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're right now in this dimension, you're in the human state, and then when you leave this earth, you move to a different dimension where you're perceived as here as a spirit entity,
Yeah.
right? So that kind of covers a lot of the different geographic definitions, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about the modern era, right? Like where we're at today,
With
right?
with the ghost.
Yeah. So today it's become more of an attraction, a more socially accepted doctrine, if
Mhm.
you will. Thank you, Taps. Thank you, Ghost Adventures.
Ghostbusters.
It's become a much more recurring, accepted theme, right? You could go to TikTok, YouTube, and you see tons of videos by so many different individuals, right? And a lot of it is involving them trying to prove that ghosts exist, or to create some kind of interaction to find out why they exist. A lot of the times, when you watch some of these shows, at first it's exciting, but you start seeing a lot of repeats.
Yeah.
There's also been a lot of talks about some of this being scripted, right?
Because sometimes they have the camera there.
It's they call it the fourth wall.
So how you call that? So convenient that they have a camera when something's gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Right. So you have that problem, but all in all, I think in today's society, it's more accepted, and people are becoming more involved in the paranormal, a lot to their dismay, because I mean those who do, uh, get themselves involved in manifesting things or conjuring things inappropriately, and they pay a price for that.
Yeah, and start playing the Ouija board stuff that you're not supposed to deal with. You know,
Right.
serious thing like witchcraft and all that stuff.
So yeah, so you have a lot of that happening, um, and it kind of now is perceived as a normal fun thing to do.
Yeah.
Ouija boards and red card, yellow card, as mentioned by Sam in the previous
Yeah.
Distorted Realities episode. So there's a lot of moving parts,
Mhm.
right? I think that in today's society, although it's accepted, um, it becomes I'm just trying to word this correctly. Although it is socially accepted, it is frowned upon to engage in these kind of discussions in a public setting, right?
Yeah.
You're more often than not called crazy for blabbing about entering a paranormal encounter or experience yourself.
It's crazy because it's so open this stuff now that you can go to Target and you find stuff like that. You can go to Walmart. You can go to Hot Topic. You find tarot cards. All this stuff that you can invoke or trying to invoke entities and spirits. And I just I don't care if you do that. Really, I don't judge anybody. But I recommend you, if you're trying to do stuff like that, be careful. You know what I mean?
So let's talk about that, because given our background in terms of culture, there's a lot of religious ideologies, I'm gonna say, or a lot of religions that practice a specific craft for summoning, right? Spirits. Like for example, you have voodoo.
Yeah.
You
You got
have
voodoo, santeria,
right.
um, valeria, todo, all those stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's a very
Satanism, all that stuff.
yeah. So to all the folks watching, the lines are open, so you can feel free to call whenever you want. And if you have a story to tell, we'll hear you out.
There's a saying in Puerto Rico that says, no es lo mismo llamar al diablo que verlo venir. It's not the same thing call the devil than see it coming towards you. So don't play with those stuff, you know.
I agree. I agree 100%. So I wanna I guess given all this stuff, I kind of feel like the urge to tell my story of my first encounter.
Yeah.
Right. So a couple of years ago, I saw a ghost, but not in the way you think. You see, we weren't good kids all the time. So when we didn't want to go to school, we would, back the old clocks were analog clocks. So we would go, and me and my older brother would wake up, and we would go turn the clocks 1 hour behind.
For not going to
If
school.
mom is watching this, please don't kill me after all these years. But we would turn the clock 1 hour behind because we knew that if we were late an hour, my mom was not gonna send us to school. She would get upset at us and who changed the clock, and we would just stay quiet. So that day we went and we turned the clocks, and where we were sitting at, right, there was this. It's like there's the living room leading to the main entrance of the apartment, and then there was a sunken living room where we was at. So the distance was about 20 feet from the door, and we're sitting in the sofa just cracking up like, yeah, we got it, we're gonna be cool, we're gonna watch TV.
You made it.
Yeah, we made it, right? So we turned on the clocks, and there was this chair that was firmly resting against the door of the entrance because the lock broke. That's what I remember. The lock broke, and I remember that the chair was. You know how you would lean the chair against the doorknob so that nobody can force the door open, and if they did, the chair would fall and make a loud noise.
Yeah.
That was kind of like old school deterrent, right? I remember my brothers looking at the door, and then I looked at the door. And that chair landed quietly on all four legs, and just shot right in front of us. Wow. And my brother hit the loudest yell I ever heard. And then when he yelled, the chair went right back and put itself in an angled position as it was against the doorknob.
Wow.
So my mom comes running out. Oh, what's going on? What are you guys up here? And all I remember was my brother was saying, I want to go to school. And that was it. That was his encounter with the ghost that we both experienced. And I'll never forget how pale I looked when I was brushing my teeth because I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, sweat. Like, this is stuff I saw on TV because I love horror movies and I grew up with it. I just never thought that it would be me to experience it. And then after a while, you chalk it up to some kind of incident. Oh, it's nothing, but it just so happens that for many years living in that apartment, right, we've had a lot of strange experiences and a lot of just strange things that could not be explained.
Gotcha.
And it's funny because being a city boy, you don't expect that, right?
There was some paranormal activity in that apartment.
Yeah. So a little backstory about the apartment. The apartment we used to live in used to be a clinic, right? And the clinic sat right next to an old boiler, right? So the pipes are like literally going from the what they would call the superintendent's office, had its own boiler room that fed heat for the whole building, and it would go around in between two apartments. Apparently, that wall blew up and unalived someone
Oh wow.
in a party. You know, back in the days, they had the house parties with the merengue music and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and it just so happens that that did happen, and it was worse because the tenant before us was into the occult.
Oh,
Oddly enough, we actually have this recording in tandem with what we're talking about in the live stream. So we'll make sure that that recorded piece gets uploaded into YouTube for you guys to segue into this. Um, it was very strange. I kind of lost my train of thought here, but this is exciting because we just had like I'm gonna leave this to a paranormal experience, man. That was crazy. We should now have our cameras always on going forward. So much for audio casting, right? Like I think this is this is a
crazy.
lot better. So I guess let's go back to the story
uh-huh.
as best as we can. So apparently the apartment was the apartment did have an incident where somebody was unalived, and we had that incident that me and my brother shared, and yeah, I think it was just one of many other things we found out. We found out that a previous tenant before us was in the occult. My mom told me about it when I was a teenager because we were big fans of the horror genre,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it wasn't just about ghosts. We just love horror movies, and that was like our thing on the weekends. We used to watch Monster Vision with Joe Bob Briggs.
Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, Tales from the Dark Side, The Twilight Zone. Like we used to do this all the time. So what a way to tell a story, right? That gets the
Oh yeah, keep that. It says, yeah, my bad.
yeah, that's what happened to us just now.
Yeah, we just had an encounter over here.
So for Kid Dan who's on, we're over here talking about this stuff, and literally our lights flickered and the circuit just shut down. So we kind of like looked at each other. The good news is we're recording this at the same time, so the conversations you're not hearing, you'll probably hear on another upload, so you can hear what we're talking about. So with that, yeah, what a story. Do you have a story to tell?
Me,
Hold on, before we do that, let's bless the house. Thank you, Lord. You know, we doing this in good faith.
No, I mean, what can I say? I don't know. Growing up, you see a lot of stuff, hear a lot of stuff, but I got two older sisters, and they were very into the rock music and all that. And I was maybe like, I don't know, maybe 13, 12, 15, around that time, whatever. So they start seeing stuff in their room, like weird stuff in their room. And they were playing too much Ouija board and stuff like that. Thank God I never played none of that.
You were the smart one, huh?
I don't know. I don't know.
He said, I don't know.
The thing is that they were seeing a lot of stuff, weird stuff in their room. And one day, I came out of the shower, and our hallway was like a long hallway. So I can see my mom sitting in the balcony. So I came out of the shower, see my mom in the balcony, go to my room, and when I close the door, like somebody tried to open it. As soon as I close it, and I like turn around, somebody started trying to open my door, and I was like, I thought it was my mom, but I saw her sitting on the balcony, and she's not that fast, you know. So when I opened the door, I look at her, and she's like, "Did you try to open my door?" And she was like, "No. Why? Why are you asking?" That was because somebody trying to open my door, and she was like, "Oh, don't worry, just pray, just said a prayer." Just said a prayer.
I can't.
I was like,
In other words, maybe that was her way of telling you there was something there, but just I'm not gonna confirm or deny. Oh man.
yeah. I mean, and I know there was a guy called El Indio. in Isabela. He's very very famous. He died. I think he passed away, and he used to deal with all that stuff. Like, and my dad bring it to the home to bless my sister rooms and stuff. And I wasn't in the house. I was. They told me that day to get out of the house.
So you just roamed the streets of Puerto Rico.
And while he was blessing the house and doing like a ritual or whatever, and I don't know what he did, but it worked. It worked. Whatever he did in that house, whatever was tormenting my sisters, stopped doing that.
That's insane.
It is. It is crazy.
So you know what's funny, that like a lot of the times it's not ghost, it's demonic entities, right?
Yeah.
And there's a clear cut distinction between the two, right? And I think it's a good segue into that kind of discussion, because a lot of people don't see the correlation, right? Demonic entities feed on life energy, your life force. They feed on your negative thoughts, your negative emotions, and they kind of go into the idea that they're going to not just destroy you, but destroy everything around you. That's kind of like my optics on that. I think that a lot of the hauntings you see today are mostly demonic.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think so.
And you could see the telltale signs. There's some cases where a lot of this stuff is irrefutable. Like, you can't deny it, right? You have situations where there are people who are standing there with fine with a t-shirt, and then you see their arm gets scratched with three what appears to be nail marks or claw marks on their body, and it just automatically shows up in real time. That is a little bit more intense.
Yeah.
I'm curious as to, and I would love to, like, one day have a discussion with a paranormal expert, or perhaps a priest.
There's a guy. I think he passed away. I think it's Michael Heiser. Michael Heiser. Let me see if I can get the Heiser.
Like, I'm just curious as to, how does it pick its host? How does it know what to find or what it's looking for?
This guy, Dr. Michael S. Heiser, he wrote a book called The Unseen Realm. The Unseen Realm. And he knew Hebrew, so he will go and translate from the Hebrew Bible, the original ones, Aramaic, all those words. Try to go back and forward. He also talked about the book of Enoch and all that, and the way he's interpreted the demons, the spirits, all that. He said that when the fallen angels came, they had sons with the daughters of man, and those were the Nephilims, and men of the renown, right? So when the deluge,
the deluge,
yeah, right, the flood,
or the great flood,
yeah. So when the great flood happened, all those souls that die of the Nephilims, because remember, they're not angels and they're not humans, right? So they're kind of like a hybrid, right? They were not supposed to be. They were not supposed to exist. So supposedly those spirits are the demons, because there was no, like, place for them, because they were not supposed to exist, because it was a violation to the angel code.
So you think that perhaps they're living in that spirit realm that's neither here or there,
like in a limbo,
like the limbo, and they're just feeding off of us.
Exactly. And because they hate humans, because
humans are highly favored.
They used
by
to
God.
eat humans. They used to abuse humans. They were bad.
Interesting. That makes for a very interesting case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that book is
Michael Heiser.
yeah.
So
He got a lot of books. He has one that describe demons according to the Bible. The Mount Hermon. A lot of supernatural stuff.
well, I'm still flabbergasted about what just happened.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty cool.
that was crazy.
But you call it crazy. I call it cool.
When the light went off here, I was like, "What?"
Flicker, flicker, and a click. Flicker, flicker, and a click. Our internet is down.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's tons of stories, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people had experienced some kind of paranormal experience at one point or another. And it would be nice to, at some point, hear what you guys got to say. Just a reminder that the lines are there on the screen.
We got Kid down here. Says, "Yeah, my bad, LOL." Yeah, for a second there, I couldn't hear you guys. That was weird. That was the ghost of Luma. LOL.
Ghost of Luma.
That's the power energy of Puerto Rico.
There you go.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so you know, I mean, it's no secret we're in the Sunshine State, so these things are very common.
Mm-hmm.
Lights go off, or breakers go off from time to time. So I'm not chucking it up to that this time. I'm gonna chuck it up to my storytelling, my amazing storytelling. Led to the, you hear it?
I hear it.
It's there.
I hope
It's there.
power doesn't go down again.
Yeah. So yeah. Overall, I think that ghosts are a staple of human. How do you call that? Of the human condition, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's because we know deep down that we're not a human having a spirit experience. We're a spirit having a human experience.
Exactly.
And when you think about it from that perspective, right? You know that these, well, you know, and I'm going to use the word tall tales, or tales of the occult, or tales of the paranormal, are not as tall or as fake or as one may seem who's a skeptic. It's very real, right? I think having a great respect for this kind of stuff goes a long way, while gaining understanding of what a spirit is, what a ghost is, what a revenant or wraith is, and how it comes to that, right? It's like, for example, the Hat Man.
Yeah, that's very that call that we have from Sam, that was very interesting.
So with the Hat Man, after digging into the ghost, they actually fit in their own bracket. It's called shadow entities.
Wow.
Yeah, shadow entities. And the funniest thing is that there is no true description of what they really are.
Wow.
They just roam in that location.
Mm-hmm. I think they're different type of because according to the Bible, spirit doesn't know nothing. That's what they say.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah, but I think
I think spirits don't move without rhyme or reason.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, so what makes you think a ghost would do the same? You know, like they have to have a reason. Like you hear it in the stories that they're here to do something, good, evil, or otherwise. You know, they have to do something in order to move on to that other state.
I think I don't know. I think because there's a lot of stories out there, like when they start getting like sightings of stuff, like it start like something friendly or nice, and then at the end turns like something bad. You know what I mean?
It's so you're talking about like the person who's using the Ouija board and they're trying to speak to a loved one that passed away.
Exactly.
And that entity pretends to be
Mhm.
that person.
Exactly.
And then
Pretends
boom,
to be.
catches him with the hook. and then they possess them.
You said it right there. They pretend to be, and that's what they the demons, right? The bad spirits. They make you believe you're talking to a dead family or something like that, but it's not true. You're talking to an entity that's is trying to take the form of it. You know what I mean?
So I want to segue into something funny.
Before you say, remember these things are so old that they know a lot. There's another saying in Puerto Rico say, "Más sabe el diablo por viejo que por diablo."
That's right.
So the devil knows more because he's old and because he's a devil.
That's right.
So they know more than you. So you try to contact these things, and you try to ask them questions. You try to, but they're just playing you. They're playing you because they know more than they know. You know.
So now going back to no, but you make a valid point. But I'm just trying to remember like being a kid, and hearing when people would say ghost, and given everything we've learned this season of distorted realities, why is it that we call ghost in Spanish el cuco?
El cuco.
You know what I mean? Like it's now that I think about it, we never said hay un fantasma ahí,
Never,
right? Like
right?
there's the ghost there. No, we would say el cuco is right
El
there. You don't
cuco.
see him. You know, so
I don't know.
it was just one of those things that I thought about for a second. I said, like, oh wow, you know.
You know what was the one thing that I don't know if your mom ever tell you about it, but your mom should know. There was a time in Puerto Rico. It doesn't happen that well. I haven't heard from something, but like my aunts and uncles will tell me, like they call it entierro, like okay, this is how it goes. This is I know some people have heard this. Like they have a dream about something, right? And the next day they go to that place that they dream about it, right? And they start like excavating. They
Right.
find it like a treasure. You know what I mean? But it was told by a spirit. Or sometimes they will dream about it, and when they're outside, they see like a spirit, and the spirit guide them to a place. And when they look to the floor, there's something there, like a
Oh,
gold.
it's like a ancient relic that
Yeah,
is either cursed or
exactly.
possessed. It's like Pazuzu from The
Mhm.
Exorcist.
That used to happen in Puerto Rico. That my uncles and aunt used to tell me stuff like that, and I was like, wow,
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Not at all.
it's crazy.
I mean, it's bad enough that when you're a kid, you're told don't talk to strangers, and now you're gonna see an invisible person telling you, "Come this way. We have a goodie for you."
Yeah.
so yeah, that's kind of like my thought process on
Yeah.
it. But yeah, that's interesting.
That's crazy.
And it's just so weird, right? Like I think now that we're talking about this, like how many things we do when we run into these situations to cleanse ourselves or free ourselves of this kind of uh situation, right? Like you have people come in with like sage and
Yeah.
mist and
Holy water.
alcanfol.
I got holy water
You
in
know,
my
the-
house.
you know,
I'm gonna
but-
bring you some.
So there's an old saying, right? Like, oh, like if you have a ghost problem, just put Vicks vapor rub it. It takes care of it.
They go away.
They go away. They don't like
Little
the
little
smell.
Vicks. They don't like the menthol.
And yeah, I'm sorry, we're being a little more funny about it, but it's just we do crazy things sometimes, right? I've seen it in our culture. There's a lot of things that can be done to free yourself of a spirit. Some of them are very silly.
Yeah.
You know, tie a rope around your big toe and turn to the opposite side 3 times and say these words. You're like, really? Like, what is this gonna do? You know, but I mean, to each his own. If it works, great. You know, more power to you. But it's just bearing in mind that we do some amazing things to rid of ourselves of a problem like that. So if any one of you see this as a personal attack, no, please don't.
Yeah. Please.
It's
don't.
really more funny because I'm thinking about it from my personal experiences. It's like, damn, we really didn't have to do that. You know, a prayer and a priest would have sufficed. You know, so
Yeah.
But yeah,
But you know, I have holy water from San Agustin.
oh, because that's like the most haunted place in Florida, right?
No, there's a church. There's a big
No,
church
but it
there.
is the most haunted place in all of
Yeah, it
Florida.
was. Yeah,
Aren't
Spain
they like
city.
the first city in all of Florida?
Yeah, it
So,
was made by Spain.
so there you go. The guy he has the holiest water in the most possessed place you could be in. That's impressive.
I'm gonna bring you some.
Well, given what just happened
Yeah.
here, right? It's worth trying, right? But yeah, overall, I think there's a lot of meat, a lot of substance, a lot of personal, a lot of spiritual experiences we've all had with the idea, concept, or experience with ghosts, right?
Hmm.
Um, some of you may or may not experience it in your lifetime. Um, However, you're brought up into spiritual belief for the most part, with the exception of those who don't believe in God. That's a whole different realm. However, for those of you that do have a belief, then you know that spirit entities are real because you yourself are embodied or imbued with your own spirit that defines you, right? And with that, I just found it very interesting
Yeah,
to
yeah.
do this research. More importantly, to shed light on things that you guys may or may have not known about. And just find some of the humor in some of this stuff. Because sometimes it gets too serious, right?
Mm-hmm. Way too serious.
And as far as origin goes, I mean, that origin is going to be really tied to your ideals.
Oh
There
yeah.
is no right or wrong. There is no, oh, we're gonna stick with this one. No, you're grown into that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So I found it overall it was an interesting research. Um, there's so much you could go into without going into too many details. So understand this is an hour talk show, right? Or a podcast. Um, for me to cram into detail everything that's happening here, it would take more than an hour, and it'll take more than a couple of hours because
Oh yeah.
I can go by religion, I can go by timeline, I can go by different continents and their folklore. Um, so we try to condense everything and be as brief as possible and share enough information that you can find this appealing and attractive enough to, or intrigued enough to understand and say, "Oh, that's something new."
Yeah. Yeah. It's very interesting. I think I had something here that I wanna before we go. I think I said this about it. Okay. It says the term spirit can refer to distilled beverage that contain at least 20% of alcohol by volume or no added sugar or two process of distilling alcohol. The origin of both the term and the process are complex and have multiple explanations. The term spirit, the word spirit, comes from the Latin word spiare, which means
To breathe.
to breathe. It may also come from the Arabic word kuhu or ka, which was used to describe a method of making makeup in science in ancient Egypt. Other theories include that the term comes from the process distilling coal from Signite, the Middle East, or that is related to alchemists and Middle East who were the first to master distillation while trying to make medical elixirs. You know what is my elixir?
What's
The coffee.
the Bustelo
The Bustelo.
and el coco?
And the cocoa coffee.
El coco Colombian blend.
That's the best.
So, that goes into more details about distillation process. Yeah. So overall, I think this was a good talking point.
Yeah. Very,
And,
very
and, and we
interesting.
had our own paranormal experience in the process. Who would have thought?
That's
Right?
crazy.
Yeah. For those of you who are watching and you missed it, we were telling a paranormal story of my personal experience, and power just went out. So yeah, it was one of those very interesting uh, cases. But with that, we are now at an hour and 6 minutes in.
Wow.
So I'm pretty much good here. What do
Uh,
you think?
Um. Yeah. Yeah. I think I was trying to see if we can get a call, but I was gonna just want to mention this book that I found. Seems very interesting. It's by Irving Finkel, author of the Ark Before Noah, the first ghost. Seems to be an interesting book. You know. So we always do our research about. We look for different books. We look in Wikipedia. We look in Google. We search everywhere to bring you guys this informations that, and we try to find the most accurate things and the more truth. Even though we joke around and all that,
Yeah,
we try to make our
Frank does
stuff.
that really well, by the way. I give him a lot of kudos
Thank
because
you.
sometimes I like to exaggerate a bit. And only because I like finding intrigue and mystery and things on and tall tales. I like tall tales.
Yeah, I like everything
And
too.
why do I like them? Because it just excites people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you want to hear. Sometimes you don't need to hear the truth. Sometimes you want to hear something crazy, just for the sake of having that. Wow, really? But no, but yeah, we all jokes aside, we do gather the facts as we see it, as we collect it. So although they're facts to us, they might not be factual at all at times. But it's a lot of legwork that goes into collecting this information and sharing it with you guys. Again, distorted realities, our slogan: discuss the unknown, discover your truth. Make sure that you always do your own research.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, this is really a platform for us to share information and to connect with people and engage in conversation. Um, and that's kind of like our idea. We use the mysterious, the paranormal, cryptids, creatures, aliens, um, as a way to add value to the experience because these are things people don't like to usually talk about in a public forum, right? Um, but here we are. We're doing it. We're how many? We're going to be 10 episodes deep already on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah.
10 episodes deep.
That's only without counting the
Rocking out with J Rock
exactly
and Behind the Walls with
and
Frank Walls.
and the audio podcast now.
So, and then we have the shorts,
Mm-hmm.
and we have the new short stories that we're creating.
Yeah.
So, it's a lot of material, but given the amount of time and the amount of interaction we have, it's been very positive.
I like it. I like it. I mean, I like what we do. I hope I can dedicate 100%. Well, we dedicated 100% to this, but I mean, like our job. One day will happen.
Yeah.
And we really enjoy this. We have fun doing it. We try to bring you guys like I said, the more accurate stuff, and we like to joke here and there, and bring our experiences. And you guys are welcome to bring your experiences to our program as well. Just call the lines, or you can get us on our email. Uh, we're open. We're open to
That's right.
communication.
So whenever we have these audio casts, that number there would be the official number, which is 904-803-7327.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if you want to tell your story, you can send us an email at contact@thedistortedrealities.com.
Mm-hmm.
Contact@thedistortedrealities.com. Yeah, I think we're good.
Gotcha.
So with that, just want to tell you guys thanks for listening in. We apologize for that little blip, but but I promise you it was a paranormal experience.
Definitely.
And I will upload that recording so you can hear what we were talking about before the recording continued. And again, thank you for your love and support. Tell your friends and loved ones if they like this kind of stuff to click like and subscribe. Look at our TikTok page, look at our Instagram, and yeah, we'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks. We're gonna skip a week because we have to finish our last 3 episodes of season 1.
Oh yeah.
Right, and then we have 2 short stories that we gotta finish.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Behind the Walls with Frank Walls and Rocking Out with J Rock, which we got to complete as well.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. So stay tuned. Thank you guys.